Hello, fellow watchers and enjoyers. It is I, Piggy, and I am joined by Ash. Say hello, Ash.
Hello. Hello.
Alright, Mr. Doubtfire. And
Do what I want.
And this is going to cover the biggest storylines and takeaways from week 12 of 2025. All the episodes from the St. Patrick's Day all the way to the 20th of the 3rd. I just realised we're nearly done with March, and I am shocked because these months are flying by.
Marching on.
Guys, just give him his flowers. He's done it. He scored a hat trick in the first minute. Like, absolutely cinema. Like, look at that.
That's an emote.
You.
Someone clip it, not me.
You're definitely the dad who tells terrible jokes, but he always gets that one good joke in there. You know, he only has that one good joke that he uses.
Why are you describing yourself?
Yeah, fair enough. I am.
I'll land jokes.
You
Don't
do.
take my joke. My look. You have to hit a few home runs every now and then, but sometimes you just hit them with absolute dingers.
Yeah.
Straight out of the stadium. And that's me. I am the jokes.
Yeah. And I guess without further ado, just timestamp this, Piggy. We are going to be talking. Oh yeah, I should say the storylines we will be talking about today is Kathy and Harvey continue to mess around like a bunch of kids of age. Teddy and Nicola get back together, who also mess around like a bunch of raunchy teenagers. And Phil's mental health, which I'm going to have a lot to say because this kind of hits home for me, and I guess I don't know if it hits home for Ash the same way because I've kind of dealt with the mental health like system.
I mean, I have, but I've not really. Well, I've not dealt with the system personally, but I know a lot of people who have. So, but yeah, it's a really intriguing look and a really complete set of episodes. The weird bit though is within this week you'd have a bunch of people where you get to the Mitchell stuff, which to me is like this. Oh, this is delicious. What's this? Like, what's this? Like flapjacks. Oh, delicious. Teddy and Nicola. Whoa, my God, guys, Christ! They're laying pipe. They are. When they start, they don't stop till it's over. They're going crazy. And then by the end of the week, you have the more down-to-earth Phil stuff. And then suddenly you have people like, oh, well, that Phil stuff was really good. I fucking hate Teddy and Nicola, though. That's not the point, though. Come on, guys. Come on, stop judging. I don't know. I don't understand why people despise it. But hey, the Reddit is Reddit, and it's not a good reflection on everybody else's opinion.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, cool week. It was a sleeper week once again. I feel like I've said that for the last 10 weeks. Maybe the last 10 weeks. I've said that pretty much every week since the 40th anniversary. We've had 4 very strong weeks.
Yeah. Without further ado, I'm just going to change. Oh, jeez, I broke it. I'm just going to change the timestamp for this, if you do not mind. So, what timestamp are we at? 04. And I put it at 20. Anyways, Harvey and Kathy, like I said, continue to mess around. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, on this episode, Kathy and Harvey are seen. They were just wrestling upstairs. That's all they were doing. They were just wrestling. They were doing headlocks and takedowns and nothing else. Get your mind out of the gutter. They were just playing chess, checkers, I don't know. Monopoly, maybe, the EastEnders Monopoly. And Kathy's like, I love you, Harvey. And then Harvey leaves, and then he meets up with Jean, and Jean's like, I forgot to.
It doesn't go that far. It doesn't go. They're not professing the love for each other yet.
Well, they do.
They're just enjoying their company. They're not straight to I love you after 3 seconds in the sheets. Buddy, calm down.
Okay, sorry, Professor. Sorry.
Boundaries.
As I was saying, Harvey goes to talk to Jean, and Jean's like, bloody hell, I've just forgotten the bloody cakes. And Harvey's like, here's 10 quid. And then she goes to see Nigel, and then she sees Ruby, and Ruby's just like, leave me alone, Jane. Leave me alone. I'll obviously get to the funeral bits in a moment. I guess I'm going through it now. She does, with the help of Cathy, she does get help to talk to Ruby, and they arrange the funeral. It doesn't go well because Ruby's like, I want Lily, Jade is like, I want Lily's on the coffin because Lily Slater, and Ruby's like, I want roses like Roman, and
and it's
is
like, guys, maybe just do a bit of A, bit of B, you know, just work it out between them. But they're both stubborn and they're not budging whatsoever, and like they've not done Ruby any justice because she is grieving the father of her kid and the man who she was with, but also she is being stubborn as fuck with a funeral. And it was the two most hated of the week facing off. Jean versus Ruby. Who's gonna win? The answer's nobody, because it stagnates and nothing changes.
I mean, yeah, you're right about that. It's like two children fighting. It's like when your mom brings you and your brother to a toy shop, and it's like, okay, you can only pick out one toy that you have to share each, and clearly you want the giant transformer, but your brother just wants a little, like...
He gets the Stretch Armstrong again.
Yeah.
Me off the top rope. Don't you dare, kid. Don't you dare. It's not worth it, okay? It's not worth it. Don't get the Stretch Armstrong. That's
what it's like to me. Like, it's just two kids fighting over... What? And then they talk about, like, he wants to be cremated, and she's like, no, he has to be buried beside Mark, Pauline, and Arthur. I'm like, oh, Jesus, can you not do a bit of A, bit of B?
How much space do they have in that grave?
I believe...
For all the Fowlers, you've got to have like a massive foreplot or something.
I believe a grave can fit 6 people. I believe. Because if I remember correctly, you put the 6th person at the very, very bottom of like the grave, and then like you obviously then put a bit of dirt in the 5th one, then a bit of dirt in the 4th one, then a bit of dirt in the 3rd one, then a bit of dirt in the 2nd one, a bit of dirt in the 1st one. It's like a sandwich.
I didn't know they were putting Pauline between all of the other coffins. That's EastEnders writers. They just hate her. There we go.
If you don't know, me and Ash watched this scene of Dan and Nick like talking about them in prison, and and like
anytime the writers can get any sort of burn, like Lou Beale. Obviously, not as many people know who Lou Beale is, but because nobody knows who Lou Beale is, anytime they need an older character to say, fuck, they were a Mardy cow. Yeah, Pauline, you cow. It's like, well, what's she done to deserve this, guys?
She's just...
Obviously, she can't really say anything, but...
She is dead. Like, she is dead in real life, so she can't really say anything.
I'm sure she can take the criticism.
Well, maybe she's up there if you believe in heaven, writing an angry complaint letter. EastEnders. Or hell.
She does paint me as the angry letter kind of type.
She's the type of person that won't break up with you in front of you. She breaks up with you via a letter. But like she mails it and like makes sure it gets there in like 3 weeks' time.
Puts it right in the middle of a billboard.
Right on a billboard. It's like just before I go back to these things, it's like, if I remember correctly, there was when Spider-Man PS4 was released. I don't know if you ever heard of this, Ash, but there was obviously this guy who was his wife was really in love with Spider-Man. So he asked the developers, can you put in the game, I'm just going to say a random name, Amy, will you marry me, right, on a billboard. And when the game released, right, it was a bit too late because Amy had cheated. No, Amy cheated on him with like with his brother or his friend.
Poor bastard.
So in the
Now he's
game,
got that reminder. They're not even going to patch that out.
I think that's one of the like they did eventually patch it out, but imagine.
Well, don't patch it out. Just let him take the loss. Character building. Character building. Let him take the loss. Don't patch it out. Don't patch it out because his little feelings are hurt. Who cares? You're not a main character. You're just a random dickhead who requested to be put into the game. Now take your 15 minutes of glory and thank your brother.
I just like it's just imagining like, oh, I'm gonna be so excited to show Amy this, and then you show her and it's like, oh, I did sleep with your brother or best friend. Get fucked, dickhead. Just what are you gonna do now?
I was gonna jokingly say DAI gone mad, patching it to save his feelings. You got cheated on, sir. Deal with it.
It's the only cheat code he got in his life.
Way.
Thank you. I genuinely, that was a good one. But yeah, Pauline just seems like the angry letter type. Anyways, your thing going on. Yeah, so they do bicker over like the funeral plans to Jean and Ruby, and basically Kim, Freddie, and who's the other bloke there? Felix. Well, Felix the cat. Basically talk about like, oh, we can make a cocktail, a Martin special. I'm like, you could have just put him on the bench. Like, it would be better than naming a cocktail after.
Yeah, true. Why is Martin getting a cocktail? Arthur got a bench. You know, one's gonna still stand in 30 years' time, and the other's Martin's cocktail. Poor bastard.
I mean,
I want Martin to get his own bench next to Arthur. I think that would be funny.
I mean,
not because sentimental. I just think it would be funny if like in the end all the Fowlers just get a bench.
Except for Pauline, she just gets a bit of dirt.
Yeah, except for Pauline, the fucking cow.
I don't know why this gets into my head, but Pauline just gets a Grim Reaper, like just standing above her. Like that's her. It's just a tiny piece of land.
Pauline's ashes get dropped on the floor.
yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, but you've made a great one in the live reactions that stuck with me ever since, which was they should name the Minute Mart after her, call it the Minute Martin, and that's great.
Did I say that?
I believe you said it, yeah, in like the live reactions once, and I went that would be brilliant, just calling it the Minute Martin.
Minute Martin. That is beautiful.
It is.
Don't steal that idea from me, EastEnders, I dare you. Having a more cultural impact than Pauline. Hey, back in the game.
Poor Pauline getting shit on from the afterlife. So,
but then again, that's just Arthur's bench. There's too many inside jokes.
Poor Arthur's bench got shot on once. Yeah, never again. But back to this. Jean decides, yes, why not make a cocktail out of this? And she does not know what cocktail to make. I don't know either. What would he be? He's not even salt and vinegar crisps. He's just ready salted crisps, like, or just salted.
We're talking about cocktails, not fucking crisps.
Yeah, I know.
But cocktails, not an alcoholic drink.
What? What'd you say?
I said a prawn cocktail's not an alcoholic drink.
It is to me.
Yeah, Martin's boring as fuck though. Martin's a beer with a lime in it. Like, you know what I mean? He's not really a cocktail. He's like a. I'm pretty sure Gene chimes and says he's an old fashioned. Which, let's be honest, Martin's not distinguished enough for an old fashioned. Is that an old fashioned like fucking? I say this. I don't drink much either. Old fashioned is just whiskey. You know, he's not a whiskey drinker.
He's too boring for whiskey.
Yeah.
But that's just my...
You have to have some miles on the clock.
Exactly. But, can you not, like...
I suppose that's just let's just reiterate the point of this. The point of this is Kathy is supporting Jean through all these issues, which is then putting Kathy and Harvey at odds because suddenly they're having this affair, and now Kathy's best mates with Jean, making it even worse if the truth is set to come out.
Yes.
And just everybody else is struggling in the wake of the funeral. Lily's upset that Stacey's gone. It's just we out here struggling. That's the Slater's current motto.
Yeah, and well, Lily does get a bit of help as Avani says, "Oh look, I've got something that can help you, mate." With Amy, and they're like, "All right, let's go." This is after Avani also bullies Tommy by saying he's still talking to AI, mate. Yeah, get fucked, loser. And
I don't know why. I mean, I know why they're giving him abuse for talking to an AI, but like, come on, grow up.
it could be worse. Could be talking to Pauline.
He could be talking. Well, no, the AI could have like a face on it. He could be talking to like a really eerie AI face. He's just talking to a chatbot.
Yeah,
it's not that bad. Mate, people talk on Omegle and you get much worse level of communication on that.
I'm so sad.
Between that and all of the penis pictures.
I'm so sad Omegle shut down because I never got to use it. I never was on Omegle before in my life.
But you didn't need to. You don't need to go. You don't need it. Because you can just go literally anywhere else on the internet and you'll find exactly what Omegle gave you. Occasionally you'd have a conversation with a random, and then most of the time you'd go on the cameras with your camera turned off and you'd see someone having a wank.
Yeah, fair enough. Have you ever used Omegle?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know
how I found my partner. No. No, that's the exact experience.
Did you just open up doing your like watching Walford voice? It's going, hello, it's Ash from my bedroom.
I remember one time. This was at like I think in my brain it was at like 2 a.m, but I think it was like 11 at night. I used to have a monkey onesie. And so I was sat in this monkey onesie, and then I was just like camera on, but I think my microphone was busted. So I was just talking to these two girls at like 1 a.m, and I was making all this like weird like monkey lore about where I was from, because obviously I wasn't a human. I was a monkey. Look at me, I had a monkey hat on. And I remember like chasing around a moth for about 5 minutes. And then eventually it ended, and then I went outside, and my brother just went, "What the fuck are you doing with your life?" I was just like, "Yeah, fair enough." Sobered myself right up immediately. Wasn't even drunk, but I was having a time.
Like, I don't know why, because didn't you used to like stay in the same bedroom with your brothers? Like, there was like 2 beds, obviously.
Oh no, I was in my own room at this point. But yeah, I did it. I did when I was younger.
Yeah, no, see, I'm not imagining like you're in your own room. I'm imagining your brothers are just beside you in the other bed, like, go to fucking sleep, Ash.
Fuck that.
Go to fucking bed, Ash, please.
I'm a private person.
Yeah, that is true.
No one's seeing me do that.
That is true. He was monkeying around and no one got him.
Very true.
But yeah, back to this. Lily is just...
Yeah, the moral of the story, don't miss Omegle. It was fucking shit.
Yeah, it got shut down for obvious reasons and never came back. Or I think it came back, but it's not the same as it used to be. Like, you know, like when a website shuts down, it's like, we're no longer Omegle, we're just Megal. Totally different.
It's like when Tumblr got rid of porn, and it's like, guys... What are you doing? That's the whole point of the fucking thing.
That is...
It's just gay porn. Well, not gay porn, but you know, it's just queer porn. That's it. That's all you need. All you're there for.
See,
I never used it, of course. No, I didn't actually use it, but...
See, Ash,
it's like, why would you do... I get that it's not advertiser-friendly, but the amount of frantic fucking people all uploading their thirst traps and they're lovely little sexy two men kissing.
That was the saddest day of my life, and I lost my nan. So now you know what was sadder.
Exactly.
But
We'll never replace you, Omegle. I mean, Tumblr. Bollocks.
Saying that, they are trying to bring porn back to Tumblr. They're putting the porn back in Tumblr. It's not going to be the same. It's like, just very quickly, it's like if Twitter got rid of porn. Half your audience is already gone then, basically.
Or Reddit. Or all of the above, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Any social media platform.
That allows it, yeah. Reddit would definitely be the biggest one, though, because fucking...
But then it balances out all the people trying to act like intellectuals.
It does.
And then, you fucking back down to earth. You have a lovely time, back down to earth, and then I have to read this fucking comments again. Jesus.
Well, actually, I just think abortion is wrong. Oh my god, can I go back to 5 minutes ago when I was ranking over a hot girl? Come on. Now I'm reading this, and it's like, oh, am I wrong? I am killing innocent soldiers.
That's all the clarity you'll ever need.
Yeah, exactly. But this episode has been fun already, this episode of the podcast. We've had our fun. But yeah, Lily starts destroying stuff. And like...
Which is a cool suggestion. Avani goes, hey, look, I had a lot of bad stuff I had a lot of stuff go bad for me lately. This is how I've been coping with it. And they just start smashing shit. It's like the scene in Sex Education, where at first Groff takes Eric to like this abandoned little car. They just smash shit, and they get all their anger. Then all the women like do it, and then they all smash out all their anger. It's a really cool episode. It's a good way to get rid of frustration because you're doing stuff you're not supposed to. But the main issue with them is they're doing it in like someone's back garden.
Exactly.
And they're not being quiet about it either. At least if you're in some like scrapyard and no one's there, at least no one cares because who's living next to a scrapyard? But when you're doing it outside everybody's house and Lily is leathering, those videos where a kid gets angry with a toy and just starts caving its head in.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like I think it was a kid who was smashing up Elmo with like a bat. But like that's what Lily's doing. Lily is leathering whatever she can find, and it's all old furniture that no one's using, so free reign. But then people just start yelling at her, and just let her grieve, man. Let her grieve. Let her smash it up if she wants.
Yeah, maybe not 8 o'clock in the night when the kids are trying to sleep, though. But it's
London. They'll hear foxes all over the fucking place.
True.
All people rollerblading through, like, outside the windows at, like, 1 a.m.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Which
that.
I experienced in London.
Yeah, I remember
fucking
that in London.
Mad bastards.
You want to tell people about what you experienced when you seen that?
Well, it was such a weird night because... this was like a day in. We'd fully settled in. We are just shy out of London Euston.
Yeah.
Fairly close to the station, in a lovely little student accommodation, and I think the thing is someone pulled the fucking fire alarm. And London hits different. So there were ambulances, everyone was out immediately. I was having an autistic meltdown, which was fun, but we get back in. I spent about 20 minutes in my room having a little panic cry. That was fun. So we go back in. Me and Slater, our other friend, we're playing a card game. Piggy's having a sleep. And then we just hear this like really loud drum and bass echoing through everywhere. What the fuck is that? So we lift up the curtain, and then we see 100 people just rollerblading through this one bit of London with RGB speakers and shit. And it's just like, all right, what the fuck's going on here?
Just
why are people rollerblading in the end of August? What's going on here?
Just out of curiosity, right? I know you're autistic, but would you, if if you didn't have the autism and like you weren't very, I don't want to say skittish when it's like a group of people, but would you do rollerblading? Like,
I don't think I have the coordination for rollerblading. I wouldn't mind it, but like, I don't know. It's like being on a skateboard. A skateboard's like, you step on it and you feel like you're going to fall off immediately. I feel like I could probably rollerblade. But is it my chosen form of transport? No, not really. No.
If I remember correctly, wasn't there lots of people on bikes that were LEDs and just
Because you had people like having having their own like little carriage that they would be on a little pedal bike, but they would have this lovely little like carriage in the back, but with like speakers lighting it up. So if you really wanted to, you could have a romantic little bike ride sat in the back of someone's little trailer thing, going through London, blasting out dirty drum and bass.
That does sound fun though. You do have to admit it does kind of sound fun. Not to be there, but like just does sound kind of cool, I guess. London's
Well, next time you're in London,
I am in London in April, so I will do it. I will do it. I probably won't. Let's be honest.
You will not.
No, I'm too fat for it. I'll end up breaking the carriage.
It seems it was a pretty hefty carriage.
Yeah, I'm a pretty hefty guy. What do you expect? But yeah, London is. Before I go back to Lily there in a second, but London is just a
mental place.
I wouldn't live in London. Like it just seems it'd be too expensive. It is too expensive. I know someone who lives in London and the rent is high every week. But it's fun when you go there as like not as a as a visitor. Does that make sense? You're only
you go there as a tourist.
Yeah, or you're only spending 2 to 3 days there. It's kind of cool in that sense. It's like I'd recommend that. Like obviously I've been to London like a few times. Like obviously the last time I was in London I met Louis Copeland, famous actor, singer and Twitch streamer. And I went with my mate Rose. Like obviously he lost me in the McDonald's and that was fun. And also I fell asleep during the thing, which in the Prince Charles Cinema, so don't do that. So yeah, there's my stories. But yeah, anyways, back to Lily smashing things, yeah. Do you know who else is smashing things? Harvey. She's smashing Kathy's box. Yeah, that didn't land. Fair enough. So yeah, Lily's just smashing things up and she's like, will you shut it? Like, please. Kids are trying to sleep here. And she's like, alright. And then Jack tells Amy, look, I told you to be nice to her, not do this. And Lily's like, alright, fuck you then, Amy. I'm going to do my own thing. And she leaves.
Yeah, like, what? So you're pitying me into doing this, are you? Cheers. Sound. And then she fucks off.
Yeah, and then back to Harvey and Kathy, like they send text messages for the week, and basically they confront each other, and Kathy's like, you need to tell Jean. I can't do this. And that's pretty much it.
As Harvey and Kathy are going further, but Kathy is also supporting Jean. She does start to get a bit of remorse for cheating with Harvey, which I don't even have anything remarkable to say about it. Yeah, will it come out soon? Probably not. Let's be honest, probably not. He's not going to tell her. He's a little cat. It's not Christmas. We're not planning. We're not looking at Christmas. Fucking 9 months away. You dodgy bastard. No. Yeah. Will he tell her soon? Probably not. To be honest.
Yeah. And speaking of romantic, anything else before I move on?
No.
Moving on. This is about Teddy.
Speaking of romantic, moving on.
Speaking of romantic, this is about Nicola and Teddy get back together, and they mess in the sheets because they're freaky. So obviously Shireen, is their name Shireen has disappeared 4 years ago. She broke COVID lockdown restrictions, I must say.
I don't know why I put it in quotation. She did disappear.
Yeah, but disappear in the sense of she's no longer alive. So it is technically in quotations for the fact she disappeared, and Harry thinks she's alive, I think. From what
Yeah, he does.
So, like, she has disappeared, in quotations. Because he just thinks she's on a lovely holiday in Spain, but she's not. She met a girl named Dot, and she talks a lot.
Just a party girl.
Yeah, just a party girl.
Popping pills.
Popping pills.
Party tunes.
Party tunes. She's doing rollerblading in Spain, you know. Dirty drum and bass, you know, just having fun. But anyways, yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day. And Shireen has disappeared 4 years ago on that day. And I must say that's a weird St. Patrick's Day if I've ever seen it. As you getting so drunk you get kidnapped and die. That's
classic Piggy. He's done it again. 4th year in a row.
I don't know how I keep doing it, lad. I just keep spawning in at the wrong time.
Just keep coming back.
Like, the guy did just say, "Get in my fan. I have free Fortnite skins." And I'm like, bloody hell. Oh, you shack, do you? Oh, I'm kidnapped. I'm gonna get diddled. Let's go. And Piggy was never seen again until St. Patrick's Day the following year. But anyways, yeah, so Nicola's like celebrating, and then I keep wanting to say Harvey. He's in my head. Harry is very depressed because Shireen just disappeared, and he hasn't seen her, and he really wants to see her. And Nicola's like, "Yeah, everything's fine. Don't you worry.
She'll come back. She will."
No, because I don't know if this because I was going to mention your dad. I was going to be like, it's just like you, like going, my dad will come back. Just like he's coming back, right, guys? No, Ash, he's been buried 6 months ago. He's coming back.
It'd be traumatic as fuck.
It would be.
Where'd you go? Oh, I was just exploring for years. Why didn't you tell me? What, you're angry? Well, yeah, of course. Break your heart all over again.
You open the door one day, he's just standing there with a chippy, just like, how's it going, Ash? Fancy some chips?
Yep.
But anyways, yeah, she disappeared 4 years ago, and Harry is really sad about it. He goes to work, he meets with, what's the brother's name, do we know?
We did know the name, not that I remember his name.
We meet Shireen's brother, and they basically
Assad.
That's the name of your old YouTube channel. But we meet Assad, and he basically talks to Harry, and they reconnect. They bond over things, you know. They bond over cars.
My gaydar was clocking off in this segment. Harry looks at Assad very longingly, and it was very funny to look at the Reddit, because Reddit's gaydar it's terrible. It's terrible. Because you'd see people just like, can't friends just be really close and look at each other like that? Like, it looks like there's some history with Harry and Assad. Maybe there's not, but I'm absolutely here for it. Harry is a bisexual bimbo, or himbo rather. There we are. Bimbo is worse connotations than himbo these days. But he is. I'm all here for it. I want to see his bisexual arc. Go on, him and Assad. They had some feelings. Let's admit it. Did you get any Did you get the vibe?
I mean, I did. I was like watching
very
this.
Longing stare.
I was watching this at like 4 in the afternoon, like on Wednesday. So I was like paying attention, but I was also eating a Big Mac. So I was very fat. Like I was just eating the Big Mac. Like, it's a lovely big. Oh, these two are gay, are they? Oh, does this Big Mac have cheese in it? Oh, bloody hell! Just like more rocks than the Big Mac, I guess. But I did see the gaydar go off. Now my gaydar is completely off, though. It's been broken for years. So I don't really notice these things.
I've got quite a strong gaydar personally, but
I mean, yeah, you are asexual, aren't you? Like
Who knows?
you don't want the love, but you can detect the love from other people. So,
Exactly.
so I think that's kind of a superhero, like superpower. Just in my opinion. Just like Iron Jerry. Um, but yeah, continuing on, yeah. So they go to Harry's barn, and Nicola's there, and they all have a drink, and then Teddy walks in and starts like, "You killed her, you motherfucker! You killed her! You killed her! How dare you! How dare you!" And Teddy's like, "Okay, calm down, Assad.
Well,
Calm
it's
down."
because of Sad's. He's been playing this little trick. He's been having a lie. He's been having a lie, and he's drinking. He's thinking about the past with Harry, and then the second Teddy walks in, he's like, "You killed her. It was you." And yeah, it sparks a little confrontation.
Yeah,
Say that Assad, he's got all the hair in all the right places. He's a lovely, well groomed, a pretty man.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, you're true. I guess. I don't know how you want me to respond to that.
Where's the lie?
Folks, where's the lie? Ask Ross Kemp, is that a truth or is that a lie? There you go. But yeah, continuing on, Assad gets into a scuffle with Teddy. Harry continues to drink, and then Teddy gets a bit suspicious of where Shireen is. But we find out by Nicola she's buried where? In Dove Yard?
Dartford.
Dartford. I heard Dartford's a kip, is it?
You what?
I heard Dartford is a kip.
There's a kip.
Yeah, Dartford. The place she's buried at, I heard it's a kip.
I don't. What are you? I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm saying I've heard through the grapevine where she is buried, it's a kip, like it's a dump.
Oh yeah, I was lacking what kip meant. I don't know. I've never been to Dartford. Don't know.
I just realised I brought my Irish out like a kip, and you're like, what the?
I was like, the fucking Dartford. It's a fucking kip. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck does that even mean?
A kip is like a dump, basically. There you go. That's a word you can use.
Why don't you just say tip?
Don't know. Kip.
It's
That's a TikTok. Just me being angry.
geographically challenged.
That's just a clip of me being angry, like the fucking dad in Incredibles 2 where he's screaming, "Math is math, math is math." Just
Like my dad during spelling tests. Art! Yeah, ART. No! Art! And then mum goes, it says heart. God damn it.
thanks, Dad.
Trying to get 6 out of 6 from our spellings. And say the words right.
Yeah,
Buzz is not a vehicle, is not a mode of transport.
it's a B.
It's bus, father. It's bus.
Did you just correct your dad all the time when he said words?
No. I mean, I naturally got a bit of that like pedantic autism, but no, I wouldn't be correcting like I wouldn't be correcting my parents.
So what did you say, son? I'm gonna strike you in the art.
No.
But continuing on, yeah. So Nicola tells this guy tells her that she's buried in Dartford.
In like buried in like a
retail,
abandoned industrial estate.
yeah, retail park, I guess, yeah. Which you know where she no one's gonna get this, only me. But she could have buried. I want you to Google the ball Nace, because there's a giant ball in Nace on the motorway. And when I say it's a giant ball, it's just a massive round ball. Like literally, just Google the ball Nace or Smith and go on and just look at the motorbike. It's a massive ball. I could bury her there. No one find her.
Nobody would find her. No.
Yeah.
I mean, remember how last week, or remember how on Monday I made a video about who was going to be the next big villain? And I completely read the spoilers wrong. And so he made a video saying, it's been confirmed that it's Teddy Mitchell. He's going to be the next big villain. And then later in that day, I watched the episode. I'm like, shit. It's Nicola. It's Nicola all along. That's what reading the spoilers before you record does to your brain. Everyone, don't. But hey, we released the video the day after. People watched it. Hallelujah.
Yeah, hallelujah indeed. And
Life is good.
continuing on, Junior helps Teddy figure out where Shireen is, and he gets a letter saying she's at like Darford's industrial estate. That's just Darford.
Does he?
He gets a pamphlet that says Darford.
Well, no. Well, I guess technically, yeah, okay, all right. With all good phrasing, Teddy doesn't know she's there, but Junior offers him a job to redo where she's buried, which would unveil where the body is.
Oh, right.
He doesn't know where she is, per se, but if he and Junior move ahead with his development, the body will be found.
Fair enough. I just thought he found like the body, or like found. Like...
He would have been remarkably calm if he had.
And Nicola and Teddy get frisky. They have some, as your granny would say, some sexual intercourse. Some sexual intercourse.
They have a better rumpy pumpy.
So they say that in Wales.
Exactly.
A bit of rumpy pumpy and the old pumpy dumpy.
I mean, why do they get there? They just I don't know. They just really find each other in the mood. Well, it's because Nicola realizes, I've kind of got to be, I've got to be doing a bit of graft for this, because she knows where Shireen is buried. She knows her secret could be revealed. And very quickly, when she learns about the development, she tries to shut it out by turning on the charm. And, sometimes when we joke about how sometimes when people get all hot and heavy in soaps, you feel like you shouldn't even be there. I felt like I was intruding on their sex life watching this episode. Bloody hell. Jesus. They're all over the house, all over the floor. It's just wow. They are expressive. When they rekindle, they rekindle proper. They're discovering all the crevices.
Didn't they go for like 3 rounds?
Yeah. Why not?
So
making up for lost time.
So Teddy not only is a cook, but he can go 3 rounds.
He can.
Yeah. Well, he needs a drink in between the second and third round, but yeah.
Who doesn't?
Your dad.
Don't know why you're trying to put that mental image in my brain. You
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know what you're thinking about that for.
I don't know. I was trying to do like a your mom joke, but I was like, that does not work, but I'll just say it anyway, see what happens. I was just like, your dad? No, that doesn't work, but fuck it. And Nicola flashes Junior, wish I was Junior at that point.
It's this ridiculously... It's like we've uncovered the deep, dark depths of Teddy and Nicola's like sexual relationship. Like, it's mental. It's like this toxic, like, kind of, but I felt myself getting sucked in, just like, whoa, bloody hell. Jesus Christ, guys. It's raw, it's dirty, it's whoa. Like, chemistry is abundant with these two. And it's infectious. It is infatuating. It feels like it's almost near obsessive. And it's... Christ. Like, it's dangerous. It is danger.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And basically, continuing on, they have it a few other times, and then how does this end for them? They just pump, and that's it, isn't it?
Well, no, they tell Barney and Harry, who's on a come down because he did buy some drugs to try and cope with his loss. Teddy goes to talk about how he is gonna start doing up this like place, but Nicola wants to jump in, kind of dissuade suspicion, and like, oh, we're back together, guys, way. And Teddy's like, fucking, we haven't really talked about that, had we? And she's like, oh well, slipped out, I guess. But they're all like kind of toasting as a family, and despite his initial reservations, they are all quite content with this, even if it may be messy. It's just like, oh, is this really happening again? But in the end, they get together, they're celebrating, but Teddy takes a mysterious call from old Junior, and Junior's like, is it still on? And Teddy's like, yeah, it's on. What doesn't know won't hurt her. So now he's barreling forward, about to probably soon to expose the truth about where Shireen actually is.
Yeah. Which I'm looking forward to. And I guess now is
I suppose before we move on though, once again, people are complaining about the Mitchells, and I know we did a video on it like last week. But do you understand why people are really, and by people I mean Reddit, do you understand why people are really hating on the new Mitchells?
Because they can't get sex in real life.
I don't think incels are the biggest draw of hatred towards this family.
I just had to put it out.
I don't think the incel lobby's really hating on this family. They got other stuff to do, like talk about femoids and stuff. It's just people not giving them a chance, I think, is the real issue. People don't want to give the new Mitchells a chance, and even now that they are generally being given a chance, now they're actually getting a proper storyline. Suddenly it's all about how they are shit and they are useless, which I don't agree with. I think they've all stepped up to the plate. I think they've all proven their mettle, and I think fundamentally it's really excited both me and my brother about this family, knowing what they're now going to move towards being, which is now actually having a purpose rather than before where they were just kind of floundering around. Like, I think it was a crux of the problem where people really liked Bollocks, who was the dad? Stevie. People really liked Stevie Mitchell, but when Stevie left, people didn't really update their narratives and believe that it was actually worth it. So I think people are just refusing to give it a chance. They already made their initial impression and refuse to change it beyond that, which is, it's always funny to be an autistic person pointing this out, but maybe you would enjoy it if you gave it a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's just people. They like to hate what they hate, but they're new, I guess. So it's just that thing of like when you're the big brother and all of a sudden you have a little brother, so all the attention goes to him now, not you. I'd obviously never experienced that, but that's all I can really gather.
I was always the little brother, so
yeah. See, but for your big brothers, yeah, they were like.
But then by the age of about 13, all the attention was not on me anymore. So
yeah.
Cheers, Dad.
Yeah, it's true. So it's just that kind of thing of like, there's a new toy here in the play area. I don't like it. Get rid of it. Ooh, ucky, stinky poo poo. And it's like, okay, fair enough.
It's the most eloquent you've ever been.
Thank you. And now I guess it's time for Phil's mental health, which is not stinky poo poo. And this is probably going to
to say the least.
This is probably, if I had to guess, this will be a mixture of both me telling my experience with the mental health system along with Phil and my experience with dementia, because these two storylines do kind of hit home for me. Obviously, if you don't know, my granddad did kind of leave in their own way, to put it nicely. My mom did, my actual mom did try to meet Thomas the Tank Engine, but some people would say successfully didn't. I went that was a failure, and she did not meet Thomas the Tank Engine. So, fucking cow. But yeah, so I'll just be that. My experiences with that, dealing with that system.
Take from that what you will.
Yeah, take from that what you will.
YouTube, more specifically, YouTube. That's an honest depiction of Thomas the Tank Engine. Nothing else. No subtext whatsoever.
Yeah, true. So yeah, I also just will say, if I'm kind of down through speaking through the Nigel segments, just know I am kind of like reminiscing about my nan having it, so I am kind of like, oh fuck you, Nigel, no, don't get angry with Nigel, please. So I'll hate you, Billy. I'll hate you. Don't fucking make me do it. I'll nipple twist you. Don't make me do it, Billy. I'll twist your nipples. So yeah, Nigel is in Monday's episode. He's slowly losing more of his marbles, if to put it the YouTube friendly way, or how like
he's getting more disoriented.
Yeah.
The alarms aren't necessarily working as they were.
Yeah, he starts talking to Phil. Obviously, Phil's not there. Asks him, does he want to beg at Saturday, and like anything else. And then obviously he thinks Phil is coming in the back door, so I would assume he thinks that. But obviously he clicks in that it is Sharon. He clicks in a bit later on, but he knows it's Sharon. And he goes to the cafe. He tries his best to work, and it doesn't really work out. I will say, if I was Nigel, I would give it up, because it's obviously going to be a lot harder to do like work when you are especially in that kind of job area. Because if you are like in a cafe and it's like, I want beans and toast, it's like, you wanted a hot chocolate with beans in it. No. It's like, no.
Yeah, it's a very high pressure environment. Doesn't really lend to forgetting things.
Yeah, especially like if you're making tea or anything, like it.
Or like you have things in the oven.
Yeah, because famously, like my nanny could not cook, because if she cooked, she'd like do more harm than good. Like she might accidentally set the house on fire. So they obviously had to get my dad to cook for her. So yeah.
And you kept up the tradition, apparently.
I did. that is true. That is true. And obviously, a lot of people give out to me, but my nanny will, just before I get back to Nigel, like just on like why dementia patients can't cook. I remember, what was it? Remember there was this thing called Meals on Wheels that would come every Wednesday. You pay them £5 and you get like a lovely dinner off them. You know, like the dementia patient will get the
just
dinner.
One.
Yeah, just one. They get a dinner and a dessert. It's for the patient, obviously. But obviously, But obviously, my nanny obviously getting a bit older, getting a bit more fussy, like not to eat. God, I don't want this, and then I'd like kneel down, like, sorry, Gran, do you want me to have it? And Gran would be like, yeah, go on, son. She just nodded at me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll fucking munch on this. I remember.
Is it all you needed? Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, I'll come home.
Tell me, it's like that same London trip where we ordered a Chinese in. And fucking, me and Slater like stuffed up the second we're done, and then Piggy gets the clearance to like demolish this bowl of rice, and he was like he was a man possessed. Fucking yeah, fucking. Or like had a big order anyways. Fucking didn't order like. And not like when you're ordered takeaway with like a partner or something. They're like, I don't want anything. I eat all your fucking chips. If Piggy's eating fully anyways, and the second this rice comes available, he's stomaching that bitch like it's his last meal.
Exactly. I remember also one time my nanny had a little accident. She fell in front of the fireplace, She didn't burn herself, obviously. She just kind of, I think she split her head open or something. I don't know
Jeez.
what happened there. But she obviously went to hospital, and then I had to visit her, and I went in, and she didn't eat her dinner. And I went, "You all right, Nan?" She went, "You want that dinner, son?" And I went, "Yeah." "Do you want the dessert, Nan?" She went, "Yeah, I'll have the dessert." So I'd eat the food for her, and then the nurse goes, "Well, you're a big girl. You've had your dinner." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I did." And I just sat there
You're sat there with like chocolate around your lips, just like, nah.
with gravy just coming down my chin, just like, there's just a carrot, there's a singular carrot just sticking out, like just yeah, Nan totally had the dinner. Yeah, all my memories of not eating food. If it's just me eating the food instead. It's fair enough. If she just wants the dessert, just give her the dessert. She doesn't want the dinner. She just want the dinner. But yeah, it's. I will recommend for anyone like who will have to go through it, just try and make the best of it. Like try and like just talk with them how they would see life. Is how I'd recommend it. So like if they start going on for like the war, you have to kind of go, yeah, Grant, the war is really crazy, isn't it? Yeah, World War Two is a terrible time, isn't it? Yeah. Those bloody Germans, am I right? Oh, no, Gran, sit back down, Gran. Oh, she's gone off the rails.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I'd imagine you just try and make it comfortable for them.
You do.
Like you don't really want to stress them with the really important stuff. You just try and let them be and try to help them through it.
You do, because if you fight with them, they're going to get more confused and more agitated, because they're like, "Oh, I'm saying I'm correct," and it's like, "But you're not, Nan." And it's like, "I am." And it's like, "Oh, right, you are correct then."
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of things you just kind of you let it slide because it's not like they're intentionally being difficult. Their brain is struggling to function, and it can manifest in a bunch of different ways. So
I mean, yeah, like obviously, like people would come to the house and visit my nan, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm sad she doesn't remember me," and I'm like, "We haven't visited her in 2 years. Of course, she's not gonna remember you." And I came
wouldn't remember you even if she was lucid.
Like, and I remember like, my nan never really. I didn't care. She didn't remember me because I'm like, so what? It's not that big of a deal. Like, it's so what? I'm just fair enough. But I do remember on her very last day alive, she did ask for me, and I felt honoured. I was like, oh, fair enough. I did for some reason give myself karma though, because I got pulled out of school. They went, "Oh, you need to go home." And I went, "Is my nan dead?" And they went, "No." And then at 8 p.m. that night, she died. Let's fucking go. Piggy's correct. Just never do a mock exam with your dad though. Or your man in your case, because I was doing a mock exam with my dad, Big Nige. and I'll be writing down like the answers. Go, no, the answer's not fucking Galway. It's Wexford. Come on, come on. Do it fucking correctly or don't do it at all. Come on. Calm down. It's a mock exam. Calm down. It's just giving me all the answers. But yeah, moral story. Just treat your elders with respect. Also, I want to very quickly. I'm not really going to bring this up in the after show, but it's like, just because Nigel is an elder. I will kind of just briefly touch upon this. It's like Stan Lee got elder abuse before he passed. Like they were like, I don't know if people know about this, but it was fairly well covered that like basically the people who were managing him were like, "Yeah, Stan Lee, you did all the Marvel stuff. Come on, say Excelsior." And it's like, mate, I'm dying here.
Do this fucking convention, Stan.
Yeah, and
like, do I not get a rest? No, you have dates to fulfill.
And like you feel bad for Stan Lee, and the reason why I brought this up, and it does make me fucking sad that this guy's doing it. So there was like a guy who caught all this footage, right? He caught all this footage. He has all this footage. He waited, right? So Stan Lee died, if memory is correct, in 2018. So 7 years have passed. We're in 2025. This guy goes, "I need 40 grand to make this documentary on Stan Lee about all the abuse he suffered." But if you donate 8,000 quid, I can bring you to the Emmys. And it's like, Stanley's dead. You're just using him for your money. Like, I get you want to like show like how he was abused, but I'm like, to show the footage for free. Like, if you love
Yeah.
him, you don't need to make a documentary
If
on
you were
it.
doing this for honest reasons.
Yeah. But it annoyed me because I was like, a lot, like, you know, like with a Kickstarter, there's usually like 5 tiers, you know, it's like Patreon. This guy has like 40 fucking tiers. Just like every 100 quid is like 100 quid. You can sniff Stan Lee's boxes. Way. There's like 200 quid. It's like, what? I don't mean to laugh at this, right? But one of the tiers is generally, it's like for 800 quid. You can go around, right? So he brings you to LA, obviously, where Stan Lee lived. And you can Google this, Ash. This is genuinely true. And for 800 quid, or it's like 500, it's some tier. You can go around all the places where Stanley was abused. I'm not making that up, lad.
Make it stop. Can someone stop this man? Can someone check him to a psychiatric facility? It's gone too far. It's gone too far.
I'm like, imagine that. Oh, I'd be like that.
Is he even like related to Stanley or anything?
I think he was. I don't know if he's related, but he is like an associate of Stanley. He was like one of the young people there who were associated with Stanley, who witnessed all this abuse, and clearly waited until like the clock ran out. So he's yeah. I don't know what like his position is with Stanley, but he was like one of the young people who travelled with him in his later years of life. And yeah, basically these people would abuse him. And one of the
allegedly.
Well, no, there is actual proof because someone did upload a YouTube clip where this guy does where Stanley's like, do I have to keep doing this? And the guy's like, you're gonna keep doing this until you're dead. We're gonna milk all the pennies. And then the guy, the associate who is making this documentary, chimes and goes, all 3 pennies, way. And it's like, fucking, he's dying, lads. He's dying. Calm down. But yeah, it pissed me off. I'm like, this is just, it's a rough, like if you Google it. Whoa. But anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. I didn't want to bring it up in the after show. I just thought it'd fit in with the night stuff. Just treat your elders right. Don't abuse them. Is all. But if they want to fight in a war, send them to Ukraine. There you go. Grand, get your MK40, get your AK-47 out. You'll be fucking flying. But anyways. Yeah, Nigel is struggling, and he's really struggling with this. He doesn't know how to deal. He's forgetting like places. And as I was saying in Monday's episode, he talks to Billy, and this lady is screaming for her tea, and he just goes, shut up, and leaves.
Yeah, he screams at her because he's holding a drink that she ordered and probably has been waiting for a while for. But yeah, Nigel just shouts at her.
Yeah, he just shouts at her.
He pretty much says, oh yeah, Kathy, I got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Not feeling good.
Yeah, and then Linda talks to him and it's like, yeah, you doing alright, Nigel? And he's like, I'm not, no, I'm really not. And then, continuing on, Lexi, I'm just going to, from what I remember, I'm paraphrasing here. Lexi comes to visit, goes to check on Phil's house, and obviously she discovers the letters. Now, obviously, Lexi has been lied to for her. I honestly feel I was in Lexi's position with my nan. No one really told me what was going on. Like, obviously my dad would, but like no one would be like, oh, you're just a kid.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can kind of get the idea of you want to try and conserve the innocence as much as you can, because it's something that you can't really get back.
Yeah, and I get
kind of depressing, but it's still true.
I mean, if she can handle the fact that her mum died, I think just saying that your
like Lexi's been through worse.
Yeah, I think just saying your granddad's in the mental health ward is not as bad as saying, "Oh, your mum has cancer and she has 3 weeks to live."
Yeah, it's not like he got sectioned. He was like allowed.
Yeah,
well, he kind of was, but still, it was technically on Phil's grounds that he put himself there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just, you draw cancer's all right to say, but saying your granddad's in the, I don't want to say loony bin because that's the wrong term.
Derogatory term.
Derogatory term. But he's in like the psyche ward. It's like, I think I'd be all right. But yeah, basically, Nigel comes in and it's like, oh, Claire, and then he obviously thinks she's talking to Claire, but
his daughter.
his daughter, where she's actually talking to Lexi. He shows her a picture, and Lexi's very confused, but it's understandable. And then Billy just corners him, and Billy's like, "Oh,
Well, it's because because she sees the letters, which makes her kind of panic and be like, guys, why aren't you telling me anything? And then because Nigel's confused, he's like, oh, does he say she's dead? Or at least he basically says he's in trouble, right? And this scares Lexi, and she goes straight to Billy. Billy, who is a massive bellend, proceeds to like kind of just scare Nigel, just scare him a lot, because obviously Nigel, he doesn't really know what's going on. Obviously Billy doesn't know that Nigel's suffering, but still he kind of like pushes him around, and it's
yeah,
like, Billy, who the fuck do you think you are? Because basically they've been shielding Lexi, but by shielding Lexi, they've been shielding themselves. You know, they've not been thinking about it. They've been kind of pushing it further back down, trying to not deal with the fact that Phil is struggling and he doesn't feel good enough to take anybody's help. And yeah, Billy then pushes Nigel around and leaves him pretty scared and confused.
And Callum comes in, which upsets a lot of Bottom fans, as Billy says, "You're not her real dad," and Callum leaves. But he does eventually tell Lexi over a hot chocky. Linda.
The shit thing about him, I'd be so ready to leave if I was Callum's actor. Because like, does Callum actually get to defend himself? Nah. He just goes, Billy, that's not on, and then leaves. Like, just give him something, man. Give him something to do. You're still paying his fucking salary. He's allowed to have more than one line a month, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
And obviously Nigel is confused. So Linda comes in and she sees him being sad and talks to him. She obviously says, "Look, Nigel, you are in 2025. Phil, your friend, is struggling. He's in trouble, but it's alright. Don't worry about it. He's fine." That was Lexi you're talking to, Phil's granddaughter. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah,
You
she
did
just
nothing.
kind of sets all the boundaries and like tries to get him to remember, like, okay, and then says like a rhyme that they remembered, and you know, he eventually, he's not fully there, but he's more more present than he was.
Yeah, and like they meet up with Lexi, and Lexi's like, "I want to go see my granddad," and obviously they go see Phil, but Phil has checked himself out of the psyche ward.
Yeah. So it is Billy, Nigel, Linda, and
Lex
Lexi. They're all
and Honey.
visiting the mental health. Is Honey there?
I think Honey's there.
I don't remember being there, but she could be. But they visit the psych ward, and yeah, he's been checked out, and that sets the scenes for Thursday's episode, which is a much different. It's a much different. It's framed a lot differently than a usual episode, for example, but it's a much like smaller cast, and we finally get to see what it's been like for Phil in this psych ward.
Yeah, and what I will say is, I'll quickly run through Phil's stuff. This is, if you remember the Milton Keynes episode from last year, yeah, with Zach and Whitney and Bianca, Brittany and the kid, and I forgot what the mother was called. Then
I don't remember.
Then like it's kind of same like that, but completely different, like different tonally.
No, it's a pretty apt comparison. Honestly, it's more of like a time lapse kind of thing. It's because the Milton Keynes one was showing like 3 weeks of time, but this one's showing 30 days of his recovery. So yeah, no, good comparison. Fair play, mate.
Yeah, and obviously day one, he's like struggling. He doesn't want to be there, and obviously you kind of get that because
refusing help.
Yeah, because obviously I don't know from the perspective of Phil, but what I can presume is, well, I can presume from like the perspective of an older person, a different generation. If you take these medications, if you do like all this kind of therapy and stuff, you're kind of seen as a weak man, which you're not. Like, our stance is pretty clear on therapy, and if I don't like therapy, don't bring me to fucking therapy. But I will do like any of the classes, I gladly will. But yeah, he's refusing help because he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't fit in because he's so used to, instead of like sitting there talking about his feelings, if Sam Mitchell's in trouble, he's grabbing a back on, oh, get the fuck off my lawn. Yeah, can't say the word. And, he's really struggling. And we see
he doesn't quite fit in, is the whole point. He doesn't really fit in. He is like kind of a lot of he is the antithesis. He is the opposite of who you would expect to be in a place like that, where it's supposed to be a bunch of people opening up about their feelings, but obviously Phil is of a generation that wouldn't ever really do that in the first place, all drilled into him because of Eric, his dad, who, he died after, like, he would take his own life after being diagnosed with cancer. Like, it's and he didn't really talk about it either, just left them with the lasting image of he didn't feel confident to like live it out and was scared but wouldn't tell anyone, so he left.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna I'm not gonna go through every day because I can't remember every day, but I'll just go from like the brief notes that I remembered in my noggin. Like, we see that he doesn't really want to open up. He doesn't really like it, but he's fond of a nurse. I don't know the nurse's name. Do we know the nurse's name?
I don't remember the nurse's name.
I forgot the other guy. The guy with the glasses.
What? Gaz?
Gaz. He quickly becomes keen to Gaz because Gaz and him are not in the same boat. Because
They're the same generation.
Yeah, they're not in the same boat necessarily, but they are from that kind of generation in a sense. And like, Phil's like, oh man, I'm just struggling. And Gaz is like, you have it all, Phil. Most of us don't. You don't fit in here. You simply don't, because like, you have a woman who really loves you. You have kids that really love you. You have a happy family. And Phil doesn't see this. He's just like, yeah, leave me alone. And he like continues throughout. He refuses to go do the mindfulness. But he always talks to Gaz because Gaz kind of understands him in a sense.
They understand each other.
Yeah,
they really do. They do strike up a bit of a bond as two of the older people there. But both are. Phil fetches Gaz some beers, and they just kind of they really get to grips, feeling like we are two people of a different generation. Like, the world doesn't really fit us anymore. So, and it's just kind of comprehending, like, what is the next step? How do you actually get past this?
Yeah, and he does eventually get past it. But like, the metaphor they keep using in this is the sky isn't clear. Because Gaz wants to complete a jigsaw puzzle, but he can't find the sky pieces. Which is honestly a great metaphor, like generally it is. Because some people would say the pieces aren't all there with that person, and etc, etc. That's more of a kind of way of saying someone isn't right in the noggin, in my opinion. The pieces aren't all there. I feel like it is a bit rude, but it's a bit better than going, he's a lunatic, you know? If like someone, if I was being the lesser two of evils, like someone saying, oh, Piggy doesn't have all the pieces in the right place, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. It's compared to the, he's a fucking loony, isn't he? And yeah.
Yeah, it's a much
it's a much nicer way, from experience. Yeah. And we see like Phil is just he bonds with Gaz, but Gaz clearly doesn't want. Like, I don't think he wants Phil there.
He's just at some point the relationship kind of stalls out simply because Gaz, unlike Phil, who does start to see the light through the trees, Gaz is still kind of stuck within this kind of defeating mindset where he doesn't really want to talk about his emotions at all, and he stubbornly refuses. And Phil, he does become quite accustomed to having him around. So one morning he wakes up and he feels like there's something wrong. and he goes to Gaz's room and finds him having used the can that Phil got him. I assume had an attempt on his own life, but Phil was there at the right time and made sure that Gaz got the help that he needed. Which, for a second, you think he's dead, but he's not. He's not dead. And Phil did save his life, but at that point he kind of yells at I think it's Yasmin. I looked it up. Yells at Yasmin, the mental health worker. It's just like, why weren't you there? It's one job. And she kind of also has a bit of a break, being like, look, we're trying our best, but we don't really have the facilities for this either. Like, we paint on a smile each day, but there's only so much we can do, and there's only so much help we can actually give with how little support we have. So this kind of gives Phil a bit more food for thought, but still, Phil starts to actually comprehend that he does care for Gaz. He does actually want him to get better, and he then the next time he sees him, he does admit that, like, you did scare me. Like, I was worried about you. And this is like a big step forward for Phil, as he's now started to do more of the routines, right? He's now started to take more showers actively and take care of himself. And he's started, like, kind of opening up, not just like emotionally, but, he starts wearing a dirty old hoodie. By the end, he's like fully just wearing a t-shirt, just fully comfortable. And yeah, Gaz kind of hits him with a bit of the bleak kind of upset, where obviously he's not at the same place that Phil is in. He starts to kind of not taunt Phil, but kind of be like, well, you still have everything. I've got nothing. You're sad because you felt a bit pushed out, and he kind of lashes out towards Phil, and this causes a bit of an argument, but it also, once again, through all these conversations, Phil gradually starts to realize and actually reconcile with that. He does have a lot of people who do love him and do want him to get better, whereas, Gaz may not exactly have those people.
Yeah, and I guess I can kind of go into, because Phil does, like, he does meet with Aspen, and, like, he does generally get better. And I guess I can go through my kind of experience. If you want me to, I can go through my kind of experience dealing with this sort of stuff, because I have.
Go ahead. Do we want to wrap, do we want to wrap the story outcome first and then go through that?
Yeah, I'll go through. Basically, yeah, he checks out on day 30 or day 29, and basically says, happy birthday, Yasmin. And then obviously we catch up to modern day, where they go, Billy, Honey, Lexi, Nigel, and Linda go, oh yeah, where is he, Phil? And Yasmin goes, I think I can help you where he is. He's at the graveyard. I don't know who he gave the painting to, but he gave...
it was to Peggy. It was put the painting on Peggy's grave, and they expect to see him there. They don't see him there, but he's talking to Eric's grave, and there's a stark difference between the gravestones of Eric and Peggy. Peggy's is like got nice flowers and is cleaned and well kept, but Eric's is like mold and mildew and like green all on it, barely clean at all. And Phil proceeds to finally admit that, and he does this at the unit as well, where he kind of acknowledges that somehow Eric, despite being gone 40 years, is still like living in the back of his head, and kind of angry at him for kind of building him that way, or like engineering him to be that way. But now it's Phil, he's moving on from this, and he wants to be better, and he's not going to let Eric still like ruin his life anymore as such. And it's a really kind of nice way to have Phil start to move on, because he wasn't gradually better. Like, the pills didn't kick in and he was suddenly feeling better. It's not something you can just... Obviously, it's something that medication can desperately help with, right? It can help you have the tools to manage. That's my experience, right? You know, before meds, I couldn't sleep for shit and didn't feel any emotions. Now on medication, I can sleep and feel emotions. Suddenly, having that little barrier of more sleep, and now suddenly being exposed to much harsher, more over emotions. Yeah, sure, it's a bit of a learning curve, but still it's made for a much better version of me. The medications don't fix you, but they kind of give you the tools to start rebuilding like the bricks as such.
Yeah.
And it's that change of Phil understanding that it's not just a cure all, it is a process and it will take longer than just this.
Yeah. And obviously the Mitchell clan catch up with Phil and they just greet him, and he basically hugs Nigel and goes, "Look, mate, I'm going to be there for you, you know, best mates forever. I'll help you out, mate." And you get Julia's theme, and I was nearly sobbing at this. Just
Yeah,
as
it's
the
because everybody gets their own little moment with Phil. Like he sees Lexi first, gives her a hug, and he's like, "I'm sorry for worrying you, but I'm back now, and you know I'm better." And then he speaks to Billy, and Billy kind of almost on the verge of tears, like, "Look, I'm sorry, you know, like we're there, we are here for you now, like, you know, just don't do it again," you know, that kind of like sheepishly like smash you on the arm, like, but still a big hug. And then Linda just saying, "Look, thank you for being there for me at my lowest," and she says, "You know, you would have done the same." And then him and Nigel, Phil immediately asks how he is. Nigel admits there's good days and bad days, and then Phil kind of tells him, "Look, as much as I am here for you, I am going to need you to be here for me because, you know, it's I'm not there yet. I'm not back to being who I would like to be." And and yeah, as Piggy said, then Julia's theme rolls, and honestly, Julia's theme is like, if you're anywhere remotely close to tears, pouring, except for Karen's exit. Sorry, that was a subreddit corner right there. But no, Julia's theme as the family will walk forward as they leave Eric in the past, and it's just it's a beautiful moment. It's a really really good episode, and it once again it reminds everybody how talented and how, you know, Hall of Fame Steve McFadden is as an actor, carrying the entire episode by himself essentially. Taking Phil Mitchell, a character kind of dripped like oozing bravado, and stripping away that edge and kind of slowly grinding it down to his history and like what events in his life took him from where he was to where he is now, and how he's kind of everything stood still, but because of wanting to be better and wanting it to not all be the same anymore, he does gradually start to put this depressive like part of his life behind him and fully like come to grips with his emotions. It is a beautiful moment. It's a fantastic episode.
yeah, I'll obviously go into my thoughts of the week after this, but I guess this is just me going to like open up a little bit to the audience, kind of flash you a little bit. No one wants to see that, unfortunately, but my experience with like mental health wards and everything like that is they're there to help you, and you realize some are for you, some aren't, because I can probably count at about 6. Yeah, and if I remember correct. So I started. For people who don't know, this just to open the curtain. If you don't know, Piggy does hear voices in his head. They are very muttered now. I don't really hear them. I still hear them when they talk about my weight and all that, but that's beside the point. But since I was roughly 14, 15, I would hear voices, and it wasn't really good. But obviously, you're a teenager, and I'm not putting the stigma down to, haha, he's a teenager, he's making it up. But basically, in Ireland, when I'd open up, they'd be like, "Well, you are 15, you could be making this up." And it's like, I'm not, I'm really struggling. And I did do counselling. Therapy, I forgot to say, yeah, counselling is the one I wouldn't do. Therapy I do. But counselling just never worked for me. I did counselling with my abuse about my mom to me, and like having a split family, you know, my dad one side, my mom on the other side. And that was it. Didn't really work for me because there's like, how are you? And I'm just like, I'm fine. It just,
I mean, it's one of those things where, from everything you've told me, it's opening up is not really a thing. When you go into counselling or like talking therapy, it's one of those things where, in order to really get in order to really get any progress, you do need to be willing to like reach deeper within and actually try to get to the core of the issues. But if you're not ready to talk about the problems, the therapist can only really try so hard because you're only going to give them so much stuff to work with, right?
yeah,
Like if you're not mentally ready to go into the reasons why you struggle, then yeah, therapy isn't going to be ideal for you. But obviously, you know, with enough time and support from it, you can definitely get somewhere. I mean, my brief experience, I've not really had. Obviously, I've struggled with mental health problems, but I've not had to be like committed to any like mental health wards or, you know, cams. Is that
Cams.
the not really had any real dealings with that myself, but I have had some therapy though, and my sister's had some therapy, and it's good to, if you're someone like me with autism and sometimes doesn't really know what the problem may be or where it stems from, it was a pretty good way to kind of hash out what my issues were and slowly give me somewhat of like a pipeline to get out of them. But still, yeah, if there's a total myriad of things that you wouldn't want to talk about, it's going to be a struggle to make any real progress.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of struggled really, because they can only do so much. You can't, basically, if you're making like a cake, but you don't have the ingredients, you can't really make a cake. Like, it just won't work. You can try, but it won't work and it won't taste good. And basically, therapy just, or counselling was therapy, counselling, same thing, nearly. It wasn't really worth for me because I can't, unless I'm talking to like someone close to me, like Ash, I can't really open up because I don't feel comfortable. So I'm like, if they don't want, they're just getting paid to listen to me. Why should I? Oh, no, well, Ash is getting paid to listen to me technically. At Watching Walford
These
said,
days,
yeah, these days. So yeah, I just never opened up. And being like sent to hospital multiple times with hearing voices, they just kind of laughed it off. It took until roughly when my nanny passed where I truly snapped. I got a trigger warning. This will say self harm, but I will try and keep it. The reason why you don't see me ever using scissors is because one depressing weekend I got a pair of scissors. I wrote a note basically saying "fuck you" to the family, and I didn't go too far. Like, I don't have scars, but I just got the scissors, kind of ran it like if you get cut by a thorn bush, basically. That's the kind of
yeah,
damage I did. And my auntie Esther basically,
not
like,
enough to have any real long term consequences, but enough that it shows intent.
yeah, and basically, as I call her, my auntie Esther would call me a fucking idiot, but that was her way of like, because she is like in her 60s. She is allowed to do that, and she and like
It's a way to deal with like kind of shock and grief.
yeah, and she, if you're confused, she was like my nanny. So my nanny, all my nanny, just to say briefly, all my nanny's friends that my nanny did have had sadly moved on before her, so she didn't really have
Mm.
anyone until she came along, Auntie Esther. And she was a lovely woman. Yeah, my dad used to take the piss out of her, and she was a lovely woman. Like, well, obviously, yeah, like, yeah, she was just a lovely woman to me. She brought me to the hospital with my dad, and the doctors just went, yeah, all right, we'll give you some medication. Then I went to work with my first unit of like counsellors, and how it
Yeah.
went was they just talked to me, and I talked about what I want to do in my future, and they just said get a better job, do a better career. But it's just like it's like when you're I don't want to compare it to having a partner, but the only way I can describe it for people who never really experienced. So like if you are trying to be serious with your partner, but your partner's playing Mario Kart. Like, does that make sense? Like, you're trying to be super honest.
Well, you're trying to have like a really
Yeah.
open, like honest moment, and then they're just kind of like half looking in, just like, what? Yeah, yeah. And then this really dark thing happened to me. Man, that sucks. But no, this is a serious moment. It's supposed to be like this is you trying to like connect.
Yeah, and they understood to an extent. But it wouldn't take until I moved to my new town and I got assigned to a different unit that I kind of really opened up because, as I said, I kept struggling. And then one time in 2022, which, for people who don't know, Big Nige, my father, as he's called, Big Nige, Ash knows like a lot about him. Never really met him, but he knows a lot, and he's truly, for people who don't know, he is a hero. He is literally, he's a hero to many people. And I went to jump off a bridge. He caught me. He caught me before I jumped, and basically they assigned me to go to a different town to see like a bunch of people who were in the same position as me. And this is where I met like some people who were in the same position as me. Like, people were saying, "Oh, I tried to end my life like multiple times. I just can't do it." I didn't really fit in because it's like I have only done it twice, and everyone else like, I've done it multiple times. Not like the brag.
First time, kid.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I met this. I remember I got assigned to two like meeting groups, and I remember I'm just gonna call her Betty because I don't know her name. There was this kind of woman, Betty, who'd been. I'd kind of compare her to Heather in a sense, because she was this kind of lady who didn't really talk, but she was just like, she was there going to all the meetings, but she didn't really, like, she knew the bus driver, she knew everything. And I remember I was going to the meeting on one Wednesday, and I asked her the day before, or 2 days before, like, when is your birthday? And she said, "Oh, it's Wednesday." And what I did, and it truly, like, I asked, "What's your favourite cake?" And she went, "Carrot cake." And I went to Tesco's on that Wednesday, got my paycheck. I went probably Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I got my paycheck from for my disability, and I bought two cakes. I bought two cakes, two carrot cakes. I brought them to the group, and she cried, and she said, "Thank you, no one's really done that," and I, welcome. Because that's what you kind of do in those situations. You try and make people happy, even if, because if you don't know, I try and make people happy even if I'm at my lowest, because it's the right thing to do. And I did meet a lot of nice people in there. There was a lot of good people, a lot of crack I had with them. Not crack as in the drug, but like crack as in like the fun. Like, cause they're all in the same boat and they're all just trying to swim by. And you kind of feel that. You kind of feel that energy, just, first time here. You get used to a kid.
Yeah, like it's. I'd imagine, and I could tell me if I'm wrong, but it feels like you're in a place where people, you're generally at the same place where you all are there to get better. So you're not, a lot of the false, like, "Oh, you doing all right? Yeah, I'm fine. You, yeah." A lot of those like formalities, they're kind of dropped because you are there for like the same thing. You're all there because it's not been going well, but maybe if I go here and with some time, you can actually start to feel more positive and kind of work through some of the problems.
Yeah, and like, they helped me a lot, and I got very anxious one day, because they wanted to scan my brain to see if I had like any problems in the brain that could allude to why I suffer so much. Couldn't find anything. I like, don't get a CT scan; it's horrible. Just have to sit on a machine, and you have to not to fart. You can't fart or anything, because I'm like, oh no, you just can't move, and I'm like, oh, I hate it. You just sat there like that, just, "All right, love, how are you?" And she's like, "Yeah, sit still, sit still, Piggy. Yeah, move your neck. Yeah, thanks." And that's basically what happened. I got a bit better. They signed me out. They went, "Yeah, you're fine now." I got a bit better. I still talk to my counsellor. I still take my medication, but my counsellor, or my health doctor that I see, I see him like once every 3 months now, and I go, I actually knows what I do. I walk in, everyone's there for about 20 minutes, detailing their life. I walk in and goes, how are you, Piggy? I'm grand. Doing anything? Doing Watching Walford? Grand. He's good? Yeah. And my dad comes and goes, yeah, he's grand. And then, see you in 3 months. See you in 3 months, Dad. And that's because I don't open up. It's just the problem. But from experience, like, I've never been in psyche wards because they would, like, like, the only way I can describe this in my philosophy, is, like when it's like when your dad is a soldier or anyone's a soldier, and it's like, I'm being drafted to the field now, and it's like, son, you won't survive in there. Basically, any time they go, oh, do you want to check into the psyche ward? The doctors would step in front of me and be like, you're not ready to be in the jungle, baby.
Yeah, it's I mean, the episode of EastEnders gave quite not necessarily a glowing review because it was still bleak in its nature. It's just we mostly saw what Phil's had seen, but there are you do hear a lot of horror stories, and it is a criminally underfunded and not really taken serious enough to make as much difference as it should. Because there should fundamentally be better mental health services, and it should have a lot more money towards it about trying to keep a healthier mind, and actually having care that you can extend to people in as much detail as you may, because people struggle, people have a lot of problems, and no human should really have to navigate all of them alone. And theoretically, in the perfect world, there is really extensive help for this, but in the current form, it's not really as readily accessible as it probably should be to provide enough support. And it's one of those things where it's hard to understand how to tackle it, but ultimately you can only just hope, because it's hard to believe, and this isn't supposed to be like a political thing, but it's hard to believe that the country as such will actually try to overhaul these sectors, because ultimately it's all kind of linked into one NHS type stuff, where ultimately it's criminally underfunded as it is, so they don't really have the resources to reach out as heavily or be as involved as a lot of people would manage with much more. But at the end, it's just kind of that unfortunate shame, really. But yeah, I think just to wrap back to the other point is just, yeah, you do hear a lot of stories about people being in the psych wards and people going to these places to try and kind of mentally rehab as such. And yeah, you do hear a lot of horror stories, but there are people that obviously go in and go out and do actually get better. But yeah, the resources aren't really there to support a lot of people.
Yeah, and I will say, yeah, it's criminally undervalued. As it was alluded to in the episode, the doctors are just there to help. They have the ball and smile. Maybe someday they don't want to be there. Maybe someday they're in the same boat as you. But people just take them for granted. Just think they're pawns. It's horrible, really. But it's all that happens, and it's a shame. It's honestly a criminally shame that the HSE, which is the Irish equivalent of the NHS, would treat it the government in Ireland is they do not know mental health, because it's like, again, Piggy's ideology. It's like when your dad loved the SNES, but you're playing the Nintendo Switch,
the games console.
Yeah, the game console, the SNES, or NES if you're American.
Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo, yeah. So it's like when your dad plays the SNES and you play the Nintendo Switch, and then your dad's trying to understand, but he doesn't want to understand, but he's trying, but he also doesn't. He's in between. It's kind of the same with the government, because the government's we understand, but you're all just the same. You're all just nut jobs, and it's no, we're not. There's different levels to this. You can't just.
I mean, it's a conversation for someone more researched and kind of eloquent and smarter than us and educated than us. But it's one of those areas where it's exceptionally hard to allocate. It's like, how do you develop a system that's inherently broken in order to fix it and try and provide a lot of mental health services to a lot of people who do need it? Because mental health is ever evolving. Some issues that people face now will be much grander. Like, a lot of people, it's a lot more open in a sense, but there's not enough support there to handle it. And it's just kind of a, will they actually try and make the big sweeping changes to initiate these conversations and allow the funding to provide a lot more of these services to mentally unwell people? Or will they just decide, here's 100K, here's 1 mil, fix it? It's like, no, but you have to change it from the inside to make it better, because the system is still inherently flawed. Like,
It's like I heard that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a British person, even though Americans would think I'm British because, well, it's just the bloody same as the UK. Because just before I go into my point, I did see a lot of people getting mad when a guy on the chase got the answer was correct, but he got it wrong because Bradley Walsh asked him, what part of the blah blah blah, and he answered Londonderry, but it's obviously Derry, and then a lot of people are going, well, no, you're wrong. It's like, no, you're wrong. It was just bickering. But anyways, as I was saying, from what I understand, is that they're also in the government in the UK, aren't they, like, just lumping mental health issues just with all the other disabilities? Like, aren't they just lumping all the, like, PIPs together?
I mean, I wasn't intending to take it this direction, but yeah, it's there's a big push to disclaimer politics.
Briefly politics.
Briefly, yeah, there's been a big push by the current government to disincentivize people from trying to actively claim benefits as a living, as opposed to, and trying to prop up people who are on benefits but are also seeking work. But it's also kind of making it's not all like confirmed yet. It's all like in its early stages of planning, and it still has to be voted for yet and kind of developed. But it's kind of about it's kind of making a straw man to burn about how there's a very small group of people who are actually on benefits and on the welfare system and actually claiming, but there are also a good chunk of people on the welfare system still claiming benefits whilst also working full time, struggling to survive on it. And they're deciding to try and make it harder for people to claim, like, disability, for example, and making it harder to claim universal credit. Once again, a system that is inherently broken and angled towards how can we deprive people of this money that should be there, because you do need to look after the welfare of your country, because at the end of the day, you should have a system where people can bounce back or at least rebuild their life if they have unfortunate circumstances like being disabled or like having mental health problems. But yeah, it's been a bit of they are building up the angle that there's a lot of people wrongfully claiming benefits, and it's costing them a lot of money, which is a very unlabour like policy.
But it's because for people who don't know, I claim disability. I don't have to pay for a TV license. Get fucked, lads. Let's go. I get a free TV license. I get a free bus pass. I live in a life. But, like, for me, disability was hard to claim in a sense, but with a lot of pushback and proving that I do struggle and I can't work. Because obviously I had the experience, if you don't know, I worked in a factory for like a week. I got sick, I got COVID, and then I returned. And then I just confronted a man and went, look, mate, I'm struggling here. And he just went, Piggy, what do you think? Do you think you can hack it? And I went, I don't think I can, mate. Anyway, well, I think the best advice for you is to leave. And I said, you won't be mad? And he went, we won't be mad, no. And I basically just called it quits. Then I worked at a festival, had a mentee bee, as you do.
Classic
And
mentee bee.
and then I ended up in a hospital. And basically my dad was not happy. Because when your son has a mentee bee, surely your next of kin, which is my father, should be contacted about saying, oh, your son's in this hospital. Nope, I had to wait till 5. I had to wait till 8 in the morning to go, hey, don't get mad, but I'm in a hospital. That's just my dad went, I fucking hate this place that you work for. But I got paid for 2 days despite missing half my shift on the Saturday. And I left a lovely jacket behind. But as I was saying, with that experience, they had to rule me out as he can't work because if he works. They didn't say I'm mentally unstable. They're saying if I work, I could snap in any instance. Like, say, like the boss is going, Piggy, lift these pallets, and I just turn around and go, and just deck them. So they had to rule me unfit for work. But it's weird because people go, oh, well, you shouldn't claim disability. And I'm like, I have to claim it. Because if I don't, I get no money. And I can't really claim for job seekers allowance, which is, or like, you know, I don't know what the UK equivalent
It
is.
explains itself.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same thing.
And I can't really claim that, because if I claim that, they'll be like, "Are you working yet?" No, well, you have to.
Yeah, it would be a big pressure to actively seek employment.
But I know people who you can still work if you have disability allowance, but you can only work half of your term. Like you can only work certain days. Because I think the max is 40 hours, or 40 hours, 20 hours. So obviously, yeah, I can't really. I have to kind of be on disability, and I know people like get mad at me, but I don't care. I get free bus pass. I get to travel when I want to travel. Like I get to help out when I need to. I get fuel allowance and everything. But yeah, it's just a shame of how the government is.
I mean, it's an important part of society, and it feels wrong to start to take it away, especially when it's already been criminally underdeveloped for such a long time, and it clearly isn't really a big focus. But yeah, it's I mean, we've kind of darted away from the main topic, really, but it's an important one it's an important conversation to have and to be open about these sorts of things. But yeah, it's there's a definite risk at, especially like, I mean, COVID didn't really help. COVID didn't really help. Mental health escalated dramatically as you take people from their comfort, which is, you know, leaving the house regularly and kind of seeing loved ones and going back and forth. That definitely didn't help people. It took people a long time to adjust, and some people haven't really even necessarily recovered from that time period with how much of a stark change it was. But point being, it obviously needs reform. Not that reform. Not that reform. It needs to be reworked in general, and needs to actually support people who need it the most, because, you know, there are people a lot worse off than you typically. So please, government.
But like the rap.
And even within this episode as well, they did explicitly mention how it is criminally underfunded, understaffed, and as much as you want to help, as much as you humanly can, there's only so many resources available to do that. So yeah.
As I was saying, I mean, like, the end of my point of like meeting a lovely like doctor who helped me. Whenever I would check myself into a hospital, the A&E, and then like proceed to go into the special room, the quiet room, which, if you don't know, it's basically they have a lot of things. There's only one in the hospital I go to. The quiet room is basically where the mental health people go. Like if you're struggling, they don't want you beside Nancy who has a broken leg. They want you in a quiet room where you can be nice and relaxed. And
yeah,
obviously, the multiple times I've been in there, the doctors just went, you're all right. And then this one doctor just goes, Piggy, you all right? And I go, I'm not, doc, I'm really struggling. And I explained to him what I hear and all that, and he goes, you might have this, this, and this. And I went, thank you. and my dad basically have loosely said that I might have it. And then like another doctor has said that they're going to try and get me for autism. It's been 3 years nearly. Still waiting to get diagnosed. I might have to go on that private welfare, baby. But just yeah, the point
I mean,
being,
that's a whole process in itself.
yeah, that's a whole process in itself. Basically, what I'm saying is, like, if you do see someone struggling with mental health, try and be there because it's hard. People won't admit that it's hard to go through it on your own, but it definitely is. And we see it a lot in life, basically. And yeah, I'm always kind of open to briefly talk about mental health, not going into details why I have it, but I'm here. And if you are struggling, just reach out to a friend, a colleague, maybe your brother, maybe your sister, maybe your dad, maybe your ma, maybe your gran. Maybe not
I
your
mean, it's
gran.
even similar. It's the same sort of idea where even to people who may not know how to help, I think the important thing to know about trying to help someone who is going through like a mental health battle is you're never going to be able to fix it for them, right? But you can at least try and make it easier for them to get through it. And there may be really bad times. You may lash out and you may have some arguments about it. Like I remember, like my family's quite. We all get along quite a lot, but I remember being at my lowest where me and like my oldest brother who would be coming from the angle of like, this you need to get like, want you to get better than this. We'd just be arguing for what felt like months and months at an end. And neither of us are argumentative people, but it felt like at any time we could just argue about it. But gradually through time, obviously that aspect stopped and then came back and then left again. But it's just the matter of fact of just trying to be there for people you care about, because people often say it can only get better, which isn't true. It's not true. It can definitely get a whole lot worse. And it's just about trying to make yourself available and support people when they reach out and be supported. At the end of the day, mental health is nothing to be joked about. It's a very serious thing. It shouldn't ever really be a joke. It's a it's a daily struggle that a lot of people do. I mean, I've very openly, for years on my other channel, I pretty much documented like a month by month basis of, and I pretty much have my recovery, my going from checked out, jaded, very unhappy, very depressed to where I am now, which is obviously a much better place and a much more productive, happier place. Like it's a very important thing, and you never know when you might need that extra boost or might need that extra bit of support. So yeah, it's an important thing. It's a thing that is very important to be cared about, and it's a very cool way to. It's a very This story will resonate with a lot of people because first, the older man who grew up in previous times, they wouldn't be as accustomed to talking about their feelings unless they have that sort of family or those sort of people around them. But still, pitting someone with such status in the soap world and in the general, like in general, with a decent chunk of like wide street, with
Mainstream.
kind of not mainstream appeal, but like kind of outreach. Like Phil Mitchell extends beyond EastEnders, right? He is kind of culturally a relatively known person, even just as Phil Mitchell, even just as the funny things. And putting such a prominent and main character with this storyline does give it significantly more gravitas than giving it to like Shrimpy, for example, because he's a much bigger character. It's a much more. We have seen the highs and the lows of Phil, and we've seen how far this outstretches and how much, and how in comparison, then we can say this because it's a fictional character, how far Phil has fallen from what people would consider his peak. And pitting that on top of everything to be this really poignant mental health story is showing it to so much larger, to such a larger group of people who want to see Phil and want to see his struggle and want to see him get better. And it's just really important, and they have done a fantastic job about it. This episode is probably the episode of the year, or at least one of the episodes of the year, in just how impressively well it was done and handled, and how well respected the topic was.
Yeah, and I guess that's our end of that lovely segment. I have a rainbow on me. Look at that. Continuing on, I guess now.
DEI gays are taking over.
Moving
When
on.
I say that, it's all a joke. It's not actually something I say. I just find it funny that people rabbit it.
Yeah. As I was saying, I think now we do the awards, or we do the weekend review and then the awards. And
yep.
And then maybe there will be an after show. Who knows?
We will do an after show. We will collect the atmosphere. We'll talk about some nonsense. We'll probably talk about the video we've been working on, to be honest.
Yeah, so I'm going to just lump this in with the awards, the weekend review. So do you want to go first?
General weekend review. I thought it was a pretty solid week, all things considered. I've been saying this for a while. I do think EastEnders has been giving us a lot of sleeper weeks as such, where, the bill of goods, like if you looked at what was happening this week on like a card of like, Phil Mitchell's, if the topics were like a list and it was announced ahead of time, you would kind of be like, this isn't really going to be that important of a week. But then they knocked out the park. The new Mitchells are flourishing, and Phil stuff was fantastic. And it's also nice to see Kathy do something once again. It was a really good week. The Phil episode is going to stand out, and it's probably going to be one of the standout episodes of the year, and probably up in my top 5 of the last couple of years as 2 episodes. Genuinely important, genuinely impactful. And but we didn't even talk about the Julia's theme. Very important use of Julia's theme as well, as this is Phil putting his mental health struggles not behind him, but the biggest parts of his trauma that has made him who he is, that is now somewhat in the past, and he will be looking to build on what he's learned now and helping Nigel and being there with his family, which will be a very nice, a lot more wholesome than it was before. So a fantastic week.
Yeah, my thoughts is I really enjoyed this week. It was a very strong week. It was good start to end. I liked Teddy and Nicola, just going at her like dogs. Or rabbits is the more familiar term. I also enjoyed Phil's mental health. We've done an hour on the topic basically, and the longest segment we've dedicated to an episode, and also my struggles and Hash's struggles. But yeah, I really enjoyed the week. I would recommend, if you're gonna watch any episode of this week, it's definitely the Phil mental health episode. Especially if you have someone. Again, let's just say Ash's brother was in the ward, and Ash didn't really know how to go about it. I'd recommend watching this episode to kind of understand, not from the perspective of his brother, if his brother was in there, but just to understand how it's kind of dealt in there. Obviously in real life, it's usually people go, they throw shit at walls, they throw chairs around the place. Then you walk in, it's just Dave sitting there doing a chalk puzzle. He's just doing a puzzle. It's just. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
It's a good way to show what could, if you're someone who doesn't struggle with mental health problems, but you want to see it from the other side, there are experiences from the other side in this, right? You can understand that there are different types of struggling with mental health. Not everybody, as Piggy said, is throwing chairs and causing problems. Some of them are internally just struggling to kind of, I make ends meet is a rough term that doesn't really fit, but still just struggling to get by. But all in all, it's just it's a good depiction from all sides, and I feel like this episode can hit a lot of people in different ways, which is what makes it such a strong and important episode to have.
Yeah. And I feel like now it is time for the awards. Feels a bit weird doing awards, but we'll do it anyways. The award, I'm going to turn on my light. Hold on. There we go. That did not help at all. Turn that off. So, as I was saying, the awards are Who Needs Slapping Down, Underrated, and the Keanu Taylor Award of Excellence. It might be in that order, it might not be. It's an award, okay? We make our own rules, okay? Listen here. I'm starting a punk band and I'm making my own rules. So I guess we start off with Underrated. Who's underrated for you?
Yasmin, the mental health worker.
I would
It was
agree.
a nice little subtle relationship, and kind of it was a nice dynamic that her and Phil. It's a nice dynamic that they uncovered, and it's also, you could tell how much better Phil was feeling when he actually started to get invested in other people and was able to kind of extend beyond like the barriers in his head. Where, you know, anybody else who gets particularly anxious, when you're anxious, it's quite easy to kind of feel trapped. It's like in your head, right? You feel very, yeah, sure, your body's moving stuff, but mentally you're like, you're stuck like in your brain worrying about things rather than actually feeling present. So, yeah, it was a nice, mental health nurse. Thought she did a good job.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm going to give it to Yasmin as well. Just lovely person. Lovely person. If we see more episodes like this, I'd love to see Yasmin in more of them. Even though it would ruin the magic if you keep doing these kinds of episodes. So I wouldn't mind like another one if Phil ever relapses and he has to go back. Which I don't know if they will do it, because I feel like in soaps it's like, well, he had his mental health arc, but now he had a mental B arc, but now he's back on the wagon. He's back to his old self. Forget what he just did.
I mean, in times where soaps are experimenting with different formats, with flash forwards and like kind of like not time lapse episodes, but like a one episode depicting over a period of time. I do always like when EastEnders does these sorts of episodes, because, you know, where other shows will kind of, the EastEnders or Coronation Street, for example, will experiment with like sound effects and some like visual effects, and it's like, all right, this is kind of tertiary. This doesn't really make it a big deal, but the way they kind of arranged and organized this does make it feel much grander and much more important, and like it enriches the story, which is just something to be credited. So full credit to EastEnders and the team.
Yeah, the next award is the Keanu Taylor Award of Excellence.
Billy's punches, terrible punches. Awful.
Yeah. I'm going for the jigsaw puzzle. Very wooden.
That is, yep.
Look, guys, if you're new here and you've actually stuck around to watch the awards and the after show, you know this award and these awards are just jokes. Don't take them seriously. As we are not like the British Soap Awards, we are the complete opposite. We're just two people doing this. And finally, who needs slapping down?
The mental health funding and support behind it.
Let's go. I agree with that.
Criminally underfunded, underappreciated, just needs to. It doesn't feel like it's equipped enough to actually help and support a lot of people who do need the help. And if there's one thing that would be lovely to see a societal change, is it's a lot more support towards mental health, and a lot more funding towards mental health services and professionals, and just generally just helping people deal with living in day-to-day life.
The reason why you might have seen me just do that, if this is a TikTok, which probably isn't, but the reason I did that is because I'm imagining someone just going through our entire catalogue of episodes, like doing the awards, like seeing what we put down for each of them. And just when they get to this one for the NHS, they put Keir Starmer with a big X over it. Just So, or like Rishi Sunak, but he's just in a bowl of soup. Something like that. Don't know why
All
I
right.
fantasize Rishi Sunak in a bowl
Don't
of
know what
soup.
you're thinking of.
I don't know why he's in a bowl of soup. That's what I want to know. But fair enough. Now it's time for the after show, where I'm going to let Ash take the reins as I do this.
All right, the after show. Now, tonal shift completely. This is supposed to be the more fun part of the show. This is us talking about whatever's been going on lately. And, I mean, unless you have any excess to bring, I think now is time to kind of discuss. It's time to discuss what we've been working on. As we've been working on a video that is going to be a lot different from what we currently produce. Currently, we produce like little like talking point, like discussion videos about topics that we feel are relevant or important to the time. But I had this idea at some point to take. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've already mentioned what the video is, but I'm still going to be a bit candid about it to not spoil everything about it. But it's taking more of like a true crime type approach, like how people will tell these stories about the slightly darker topics and in our case about EastEnders or about other soaps, telling more of the darker stories about some of these characters and kind of trying to tell it like how people tell the all the videos like disturbing side of Reddit or like the Ben Crowleys, the next pose types of relatively true crime based, but mostly horror, and trying to depict more of these more taboo or different issues.
Yeah. Do you want me to pull up the thumbnail for people, or do you want to keep that a secret?
No, the thumbnail's going to be a secret.
Okay. The secret, for people who don't know, I mostly have worked on the script. Ash has chimed in and he's added, like, for some entries, he's actually gone back and watched it. Because if you don't know, I mainly just stole from the Wikipedia. Thank you, EastEnders Wiki. Although I'm not supposed to say that, I'm supposed to say I've done it.
I mean, the EastEnders Wiki is a fantastic resource and
but
should be used and supported.
But for legal reasons, I have to say I totally researched all of this. I totally watched about 100 hours of EastEnders for this list. Way to go! But yeah, I did a majority of writing, and I didn't do the thumbnail, but I found the photo for the thumbnail. And when I say I love it, I truly love it.
For pretty or no, I'm more of like I'm like a horror fan, but the thumbnail genuinely creeps me out. Like the thumbnail is kind of unnerving. It's such a cool shot of a character.
Yeah, and like I've mentioned before, the only entry I really want to give away, so people don't get mad in the future, is yes, it's Reese. Reese is one of the entries. The only reason I'm mentioning that is because I want people to know he's more of the light-hearted entry. Because like I said previously, and I'll keep saying, you don't want to open a video on 30 seconds and it's like, and she was raped. And it's like, wow, that's just... I was eating cornflakes, thanks, Piggy. You're welcome. You kind of want to go from the lesser of evils.
Yeah, you wanna slowly ease the subject matter within. But yeah, it's like I said, Piggy's mentioned it is a list, and it's gonna recap a couple of the darker characters in EastEnders, and it's gonna try be a much more stylized video than what we normally do, a fully scripted, highly edited and structured attempt, kind of like the Christmas ranking 2013 to 2023, but with more footage and less my face reading of the script. But yeah, that's what we've been working on. I got 4 entries done, and just got 4 entries done, a couple more to go. There's no real timeline as to when it may or may not be released. It's just general. It is coming up at some point soon, and hopefully people take to it, and hopefully people enjoy it, because it's a really cool it feels like it's a cool evolution of where this has all started. And we wouldn't have been able to make those sorts of things at the start. It's just now having built up our approach and what we like and what we don't like to do. It's kind of a hopeful, cool thing to kind of build on this channel's kind of success and kind of possibly spiral into something bigger or better. But it's been really fun so far. It's been fun to research. It's been fun to kind of, it's been fun to write the script, and it's been fun kind of piecing together some of these entries. Like, there was one entry that was based off the wiki that I went, there's so much more than this. I need to do more. And then I got to relive this storyline, and it's a really gripping one. And God, I look forward to it. I genuinely think it's probably going to be one of the best things we've ever made.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's the start of something better.
Yeah, and if you want to know how the format is probably going to work, I read the first 3 entries. Ash reads however many entries is left. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. That's how it works. Because I wanted to be a part
it's
of
also we're also both both heavily involved in doing all of it, right?
Yeah.
Like as opposed to the Christmas one where Piggy was plotting away, writing all of the notes for all the Christmases. This one we're both playing a pretty big part in it.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It is a cooler aspect to it.
And and if you're that one guy worrying, will this affect Christmas? No.
No.
Christmas 2002 to 2012 is still happening.
Yes.
It's gonna. I'm slowly.
Nobody thought that, but it is still happening.
It's still happening, and 2024 will be there as well. We usually do that one as well. But that's for a later time. I'm excited to do this. I've done, like I said, research for this. We're going to basically film 2 intros. So one with my voice, one with Ash's voice, and obviously Ash is probably going to choose his voice better because he is, I don't want to say a critic, but he is.
I believe in myself.
He does believe in himself.
I know what I'm capable of.
But Piggy, you're fucking shit. Get over yourself. Know who the boss is around here. And just, yeah, it's a fun thing. And if people like it, like I said to Ash, I won't be involved. I can read this. Like, if say this takes off and people want a Coronation Street one or want like an Emmerdale one or a Hollyoaks one.
Hollyoaks, yeah.
We can do it, and I will obviously read the entries, but I'll make sure just to have like 1 or 2, so I can just leave it to Ash to do the majority of it. But I will probably write the script again if it's for any of these. Because usually, if you don't know, just to peel back the curtain, how it usually goes, and I don't want to, don't mean any disrespect to Ash, don't take this as a diss to Ash. It usually goes, Ash goes, okay,
I'm lazy as fuck.
Yeah. Right, how this...
When it comes to actually writing scripts, I am really, really lazy at kind of putting in the foundation. If there's so much information and there's so much to summarize, I am really shit at doing that. And that's where Piggy is very good at kind of doing all of the major grunt work and just writing everything you need, everything that we need to write there. And with me being like, with me watching a whole lot more soap shit and knowing a lot more of the history, then when Piggy's done all that, I come in and kind of neaten it up and prepare it for video form and kind of add the extra details if any have been missed. Like, it works a lot better than previously. It works a lot better than me, for example, doing it in the past, where I don't know, scripts are a weird thing because I struggle to get them off the ground.
See, what is funny, like what people don't realise, right? And I again, don't take this to Ash, but it's so funny looking at the start of Watching Walford, where it's like, obviously I couldn't do anything because I didn't have a PC or a laptop, but it is funny because Ash would do the majority of it. Then last year he just came to me and went, "Yeah, you got a PC, can you edit?" And I'm like, "Fuck off, I'm not doing that." Just went fade and fade out, and I'm like, "What do you mean fade and fade
And
out?"
then by the end, by the first day,
I'll do the podcast.
Piggy was doing it all.
Yeah, so like because you have to kind of make it equal both. Like for example, this video we're doing, this big video, you would need a. I'm not saying I don't want to say professional editor because Ash is he's an editor, but yeah, a professional kind of guy who knows more of like how to make it more spooky and stuff. I'm not saying we pay 50,000 to rebuild the entire Queen Vic. Like I'm not saying that, but someone who's a bit more talented. Like Ash is great, like he is great. Don't get me wrong. It's just in that.
I am a functional editor.
Yeah,
but is it something I really relish or fully get to grips with and kind of? Is it? I don't flourish at editing. I can do a decent enough job, but I lack a lot of the core like parts of being an editor.
yeah, and that's why like I'm like if we ever get an editor, it's for that sort of videos, because
Yes.
I'm not paying an editor just to go fade in, fade out, £5, mate. No, fuck off. You actually
It would either be for the long form videos or for like shorts.
Yeah. But that's pretty much what we've been working on. I've been trying to get into their voice work for doing it. I did my first attempt last week. It went I want to say pretty well for our first attempt. Obviously, the script has changed, so I have to redo my stuff. But I don't mind. I've been begging Ash, when can I start? Because I'm eager to do this. Is my first time ever really voicing a video. And yes, I got that big of an ego for voicing that I went, I can do other voice acting jobs. Let me look online. Is there any other voice? Oh, my God, I need an agent. Well, that's...
And this is me. And then you have me in comparison who's like puffing the first time. And if he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do it now, can we record it now?" And I'm like, "Fine, do whatever the fuck you want. Not ready, but do it. Fucking do it. Just fuck off. Stop bothering me about it like an excited puppy." And you have me just like, another day, another voiceover. Not that I'm particularly good at voiceovers either. I've done them previously, but it was never really anything I'd flocked to.
And Ash is looking for sponsorships. So if anyone out there is...
Oh, immediately be selling these to sponsors. All I'm saying is, if these videos become exceptionally popular, I will happily stop doing the daily content and just release 1 or 2 of those a month. With sponsors. See ya. Love you, legends. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
but I'd have absolutely no illusions to do that. I'd pivot to doing that completely.
and I feel like that's where we end the podcast. Anything else?
I'm leaving you. That's how I leave it. But no, yeah, it's an exciting time. I think there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff on the way, and I hope people are hopeful and excited to see what we have in store. Fingers crossed it turns out at least to be like 50% of what we end up wanting to do long term. But yeah, it's nice to see the evolution and nice to see how this may potentially develop even further. And it's something that I and Piggy am pretty excited to try and experience and do.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you if you did sit through the 2 hours or at least an hour of this. I am out to the end. Thank you for watching. If you like these more longer types, we will try and do a longer type podcast, but it's more like if we're in the mood or not. Because if I've just waken up and I have to read, like, I have to go through in my mind an hour and a half of what happened in EastEnders, and then I have to talk about how I've been doing, I'm going to be like, I mean, yeah. I mean, like, YouTube is so hard, isn't it? Bloody hell, I have to wake up, I have to talk to a camera for an hour and a half so people like you can listen in and then make fun of me for being Irish. And for apparently liking cheesy coleslaw. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye.